Hello guys, boys and
Oh,
girls, and welcome back to another video. This video is a little bit serious, explaining some drama that's been going on in the S&P for the last week, about maybe a little more at this point. Otherwise, we wanted to flush it all out and explain it to you. If you're interested in applying after, all this drama, and you guys don't mind, you're like, oh god, I can't join that S&P. Look at all that drama. Look how bad the owner is. Link down below. Leave a comment saying you applied. Otherwise, guys, let's get into this video. It's going to be quite a serious one. Hello guys, boys and girls, and if you guys know, I don't like to make these drama videos. I try to keep the S&P as drama free as possible, but stuff happens, people grow apart, and then we go into this situation. As you guys have seen, I've only had to make this videos like this one time in the past. You guys know I don't like responding to this, but if people are going to keep saying disparaging claims about me and the staff members, I have to come out and I have to discredit them, so that way a narrative isn't pushed that is false. And here with me, who has dealt with most of the problems caused by these two staff members, is Yes Nobody.
hello there.
So Yes Nobody, would you like to tell us the story of
Sure.
how this all happened and stuff, since you know it a lot better than me?
Okay, so this burst basically started with a failure event. It was called a war. Basically, it was kind of like no rules allowed or that type of thing.
Well,
Uh,
even before the war event, we were having problems. You wanted to fire this individual before, to I think almost like 2 weeks before that event, because of failed events that had happened.
yeah, pretty much. But it mostly started at the war event. That's when it really kicked off. Um,
Correct, I
there
agree.
was there was a lot of like arguments between me and these staff members. And that type of thing. They basically didn't agree with any of my points and didn't want to listen to anything, and so I wanted to fire this individual, but this man over here, John,
I
vouched
did.
for it. So
I've stood up for both individuals time and time, giving them chances, and basically, because honestly, these individuals do really good work, but and I want to put people who do really good work and give them the platform to do that good work. But when, I can also have a soft side where that kind of leads me down to this road right here that we're in now.
yeah, definitely. And after you vouched for them, they stayed, and I was like, all right, fine, they can do what they want. So this everything went smoothly. There was a really good UHC event, and there was a few more good events, and everything started looking up. I gave the staff member another couple of like, hey, good job, keep doing what you're doing. And eventually we had a spot open for government, so we promoted this man, the staff member, to government, and he decided to make a few new things. For Fallen, he decided to make a legislative kind of thing, kind of like the U.S. government has, and everyone voted yes on it except me, because I could see the future apparently.
So to
And
get into before we get into that, a lot of people probably think why why do we, of how things run. I just want to explain why I run things in a way where, yes, nobody makes a lot of decisions, but also he doesn't make all the decisions, and that's because of excuse me, decision fatigue. That's what I'm trying to pronounce. It's where you can be making a lot of decisions throughout the day, and then you basically get fatigued. And at this point, I was pretty much at decision fatigue, so I kind of was just like, whatever, let's see what happens. I want to kind of see, if it's a shit show, let's see what happens, that kind of thing, which is on me as an owner. I shouldn't be doing that, but it's why I've started to hand more power to people like Game and to people like Yes Nobody. That way we can I can distribute the decision making, and that way I'm not making every single decision, because it can lead to some bad stuff. Anyway, as you were saying, Yes Nobody.
okay, So this staff member decided to make like a legislative, kind of like the U.S. government has, and the staff members voted on it. He had a whole kind of thing, so it went for the government. The government voted on it first. They all said yes. Of course not. They're all biased according to it, so they're gonna say yes. And then we moved to staff members, where every single staff member but me voted yes, because I can see the future. I told them that it was going to be too complicated, it was going to mess things up, and it eventually did. Before that, and then it moved towards the people, so the members of Fallen SMP, and most of them voted yes. This is kind of our fault for not really trying to push it out there for them to like really read it, because there was a lot of text in there, and this staff member even released a dumbed down version, but at that point it was kind of too late, and this kind of set forward the inevitable future of this staff member. So this staff member kind of used that legislation to kind of grasp his own power of his own, kind of basically overtaking the whole server and running the staff team as a whole, overcomplicating things. Um, we have pretty simple systems that have like complex components in them, but he was going complex at all, restricting us entirely from doing things. It was just really horrible. And over time, the members started hating it, staff members started hating it, and it got bad.
And if this individual does try and disparage our claims or talk out against those claims, we do have DMs that we did save over time, and we do have the articles still that he made. So we do have proof that this is actual true. And people did warn him. The other individual who we're talking about here actually did warn this person against this. I warned this person against it, and he basically laughed me off and said, "Oh, the government can be." At the time, he said like, government can do whatever it wants, something along those lines. Maybe not that blatantly. That way he doesn't, because I know he's gonna. If he makes a response, he's gonna be like, "Oh, I never said exactly that," but it was basically the lines of "It's gonna happen." And at that point, I was like, whatever. I didn't want to deal with it. I didn't want to get in a fight with this individual because it's stressful when that happens. But we moved on, and eventually I woke up one day, and it was just this problem of member after member having complaints. And we do have those messages too. Members actually did complain. They felt like the server was going directly out of what its roots are, which is a vanilla SMP, to basically a government role play. It was definitely a big change, and the core around it, the idea around it, or what he said, it was giving power back to the members. But when I ask members, and if I have to, I will bring them on for proof. If I have to, God forbid, make a response video, is that a lot of them did not like it. They were complaining about it. I got a bunch of DMs. People were ready to possibly even leave the server if this wasn't changed. So basically I messaged yes nobody, and yes nobody can take it from here.
All right, so after John messaged me, I kind of, set everything into action of getting it removed. So I basically talked to this individual, and first thing in the morning, and try to get him to remove himself, to make him remove it, but he didn't want to do that. Didn't want to listen to me, so I removed it. And after that, this individual got really mad, and they put in their 2 week notice to leave staff. Now, at this point, the other individual that we're talking about hasn't really done anything too wrong, or anything like that. They've been normally a really good staff member, uh, and so that's great and all. But then a few weeks later, they started to cause more issues because their friend was gone, and they can't really have a double like power play anymore. So after
We
this
also
happened,
wanna we also wanna add that a lot of those times where successful events happened, the other person was there to help the other individual, basically helping them with events and almost carrying them at some points.
indeed, indeed. Moving on from that though, this individual started causing more problems, starting talking to other staff members, starting to try and recruit other members to another SMP, and pretty much blatantly lied to us for retiring from staff, which isn't something. isn't acceptable. Like if you want to retire from staff, that's perfectly a okay. We have no issues with that. Give us your 2 week notice, and then we'll find someone to replace you. But don't try to just claim it as a break and then try to come back after you know talking about Fallen, bringing in band members for other things, and trying to disrespect Fallen as a whole.
I think the best way to describe it is if you had a job, like let's say at McDonald's, and your boss, and you like texted your boss one day, and you're like, "Hey, I'm in a really bad spot. I need some time. Blah blah blah. Please give me this time." And yeah, and the boss is like, you're late to work or you don't show up to work, and you're like, "Hey, I'm dealing with some stuff," and the boss is nice. He gives you that, that time, and then you come back, or or basically you don't come back at all. You don't even come back to your, let's say you still have this job, you come back, you work there for a few days, and then you just don't come back when you're scheduled to come back, and you just find another job. That's kind of how it feels for us dealing with this situation.
Indeed, I actually, nothing. When this member returned from the staff team, and I didn't really think anything of it. They're just doing their own thing. And then, I find out from some other sources that they're trying to plot against us. So, not really plotting against us. I don't know if that's the right terminology, but being mischievous, I'll say that, and starting to put things into action, starting to threaten us and things like that. And, that's just not okay. That's not what we're here on Fallen for. We're trying to have fun and have a
Correct.
nice
Yeah, we
community.
did have threats of an exposed video, which is why, especially now, we're coming out with a video. It's not to be petty. It's not to disparage their name, but when I don't take kindly to threats, especially against like something that I've been running for 4 years. Um, like I just don't want to deal with it. So when you make a threat to me, I'm going to come out ahead of it, and I'm going to hit hard. And I'm not even hitting as hard as I could. I just want to get out ahead before they try and make some massive disparaging claims, which we know most of what they're going to say, and we're going to discredit most of it in a second here. But
Indeed.
mhm. but I definitely feel like it's a shitty situation, and it's not something we want to be in.
Well, it's definitely not. I honestly don't want to make any of these videos. That's not the purpose. Like honestly, I hate drama entirely. But if it comes my way, I'm gonna have to do something about it inevitably. So
Um, so to get into one of the main things, especially, is a lot of people. One of the main big issues, that I know is going to be brought up. Were you done with the story, or?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
One of the first issues that I know is going to be brought up is my co-owner game. What happened between basically game and me is a lot of, we had already solved it personally, kind of how things would run, but to the outside it did look like, yes, nobody was taking over his role, or he was kind of diminished, or I was disrespecting him, but it wasn't that way at all. It was a big, honestly, miscommunication between me and him, where I thought he was like solely inactive, or he had like real life stuff to deal with, because he was massively inactive for about a week. And that's, he was on holiday, he was totally fine, he told me to he was going to go do it, and yes, nobody kind of took over that responsibility. And when he came back, he never messaged me back, so I never knew that he would, he was ready to like take responsibilities back. And up until recently, he has not expressed that he felt like undershadowed. But since we have talked, and since he has expressed his concerns, we've definitely listened to them. He is getting more responsibility. He's returning back to more of a co-owner role. I just, he hadn't spoke up, or been like, "Hey man, I want to take charge of this and this." So I told him in the future I need to know, because if someone doesn't tell you something, if you're talking to someone and you make a comment and about something, and they, you don't know that they like it, and you keep making that comment, and then like maybe 1 week down the line you have a huge fight over it, like I need to know that the first time, that the comment was bad, just for example. Anything to add? Yes, nobody?
um, yeah, definitely. So over games transition into coming back into a co-owner type of like mindset and everything. I've been making efforts to like tell John and everything, and like definitely most of our decisions, like add game into this, get game's opinion, that type of thing, and here recently when we've been hiring new staff, I've always brought game in. I'm like, hey, can this time work for you to interview staff members? He's like, yep. So me, John, and Game, we go in there, we interview the person, they either get hired or denied, or they're still being thought of at this moment. So I've been trying to include Game. I did realize that I was taking, kind of the co-owner approach when I'm, not the co-owner, and I don't ever think I probably will be, and that's fine with me. But
Well,
you
you're
know,
basically
I'm
like third in command.
I'm third in command, but I'm fine with being third in command. I actually really enjoy head of staff. So,
And I
I've
think a
been
lot of
trying
people
to
would.
get
Mhm.
I've been trying to get game, back in kind of the mindset. I've even said to the two members like I'm trying to get game back in here. It's just up to game at this point.
Yeah, and he's like definitely expressed like some things to me about getting back in, but I think what was I trying to say? Oh yeah, though people are probably like, oh, then why didn't you just like fire him or why didn't you just retire him? He Game has been like the longest co-owner, and both Game and Yes Nobody have had my back in situations like this where people have tried to like say disparaging things or like tear down the SMP or like try and take members from it, that kind of stuff. They've had my back, and when people do that, I don't want to just get rid of him. So I was going to keep Game in that co-owner as long as he wanted to be in co-owner or until he retired, basically because he has earned my respect and he's been there for through some tough times. Same with Yes Nobody here. Both of them have my back. Both of them have the same vision I do, and I can't thank them enough. I really respect them, and I hope to meet them one day in person if things go all right.
If things go right, indeed.
Yeah, unless I have to make, hey guys, welcome to another video. Yes, nobody left. Now I have to go hard on him.
Jesus.
Just kidding. So the second claim I would have to say is that their ideas weren't listened to or they did good work. They did good work, yes. A lot of the work they did was massively, good. But there was also the bad times. There was very frequently bad times that they seemed to like not want to talk about or stuff that massively happened. They also talk about expectations of Yes Nobody and that he has too high expectations of them, but they're honestly pretty just general expectations of what we expect from our staff members to deliver numbers wise and like that kind of thing. Well, just, event wise. So if, I want you to lead an event, I want to make sure that event runs smooth and we don't cancel that event or it's a disaster because it reflects on all of us. If you want to talk more about that, Yes Nobody.
Indeed. With this member's event, the war type of thing, I felt the need. Granted, I did it probably way too fast when I should have, but I actually publicly apologized and about the event because it was actually a pretty like bad event. No one really enjoyed it or anything like that, and that criticism needs to be taken in and that type of thing. So I publicly apologized, which may be the first time in Fallen history. I don't know, but I definitely did that.
No, I publicly apologized to Purple for our little argument and being rude to him, which I know is going to be brought up. I was basically, we were having trouble with Purple, and he's been saying some rude comments and stuff. And then I was kind of rude to him, but I publicly apologized, to him, and me and him are good. It's definitely something I'm gonna correct as an owner. Not everyone's perfect, so my bad, and I'm not gonna do it in the future. That's kind of the only thing I really can say. I have no excuse, and I should know better after 4 years. But sometimes we all trip up and have bad days, and that was one of mine. But yeah, I did see, thanks to one of the individuals here that, I was in the wrong, so I did correct that. So, so the other thing that they made another claim is that their ideas were never listened to, or ideas that they brought up were discredited or stolen from them, which is totally false. Any idea that we have is talked about. It's never an echo chamber. In the staff chat, we're always disagreeing about stuff. We're always talking about how to do stuff better. Once in a while, I do like not listen to ideas, and that's mainly because I've been doing this for about 4 years. If I don't think something's gonna work out, or if I think something's gonna end up bad, like same with Yes Nobody voting no with the articles that happened, I'm gonna I'm going to vote no on it. I'm going to argue against it or not let it through. Like for example, we had this idea of adding like for the staff members' names, colored names. I was totally against it because I've tried it before and it's a terrible. It's a thing that just doesn't feel vanilla and separates the staff from the members, and we want to be kind of on an equal level. So to get anyway with that story done, that's just an example of like one of the ideas that we openly debated and I kind of shut down. But most ideas we do openly debate and we share ideas.
A great kind of example is this is actually our Fallen website, which if you watch like the Fallen news or whatever, it's always in the link in the description, whether you check it out or not. Currently right now we have a game working on that, but the original idea was suggested by one of our ex members, and we've talked about it, we debated it, and then it got a pretty easy pass through because it's just a website. But um, for a better example, recently I lost the role of Punisher. That's been also given in the game. Um, but before it was kind of just like me and John talking back and forth about like punishments and everything like that, and kind of behind the scenes in our teams, we would argue back and forth of what this what the punishment should be, but kind of
What
to
power they should
the
have, that kind of stuff.
yeah, that type of thing. To the normal kind of like staff members, it looked like I was, just controlling everything, which kind of on our part is a misunderstanding, but also, it's kind of on their part for not asking or expressing concerns until now. Um, One of their claims is I'm the co-owner and I kind of like run everything with John here, which is false. I'm not the co-owner. I'm third in command, and I bring ideas to the table like every other staff member. That type of thing.
I think another claim is that they helped grow Fallen, or their ideas grew Fallen to what it is now. And this is directly from a video statement, so I do have proof of this. Um, which is false. Most of how Fallen grew is thanks to, well, they did help growing doing their staff jobs, but most of the ideas that helped grow Fallen are pretty much my own. And I know that sounds like really egotistical, but when people go and apply and they say, "How did you find Fallen SMP?" It's mostly through our YouTube channel and my videos. So for someone
Hmm.
else to say like their ideas grew Fallen to what it is or grew Fallen in any significant way is honestly really false. I don't know. I could be wrong. Yes, nobody could correct me on that if I am.
No, John is right here. In fact, that them articles probably hurt Fallen more than it did help it in any capacity. Um, of course, we didn't have any members leave that I know of, but we may have had some turn inactive and just never came back. Which, unfortunately, if they're gonna stay inactive, well, then in about a week's time from recording this, then I'll be put into the inactive role. Unfortunately.
Correct. We've done a lot better with that. So the other claim that I can think they'd make is that I run this as a business or I run it for profit, which many people have made this claim, and it's simply just to like disparage how I run the server, my motives of the server. Anyone who is in the staff team or anyone with the common sense can see that I make $0 from the server. If I wanted to monetize the server, I'd be shouting out maybe my YouTube channel or my Twitch all the time. I'd be streaming or I'd be asking for donations to run the server, coming up with like some sob story. But I don't think it's totally like that at all. The business claim is the way we run things is I obviously own it, so I lead it. Then we have game, yes, nobody, and a bunch of staff members that do individual jobs. And this is to divvy up the work so not one person is doing like 3 or 2 jobs, because at that point people can't do 2 to 3 jobs. They one goes to the wayside. It's better to just give them one job and have them do it. That's why I found through the history of running a server.
Indeed. I mean, of course, there's some exceptions in there. We've had a staff member that um, was in charge of media and making a lot of plans for it, and was actually starting to work on some things before they got promoted. And then, they also ran the Twitter account, and they did a pretty excellent job of doing that, which is a great example. Um, Not to toot my own horn here, but I think I did a great job as being Punisher and head of staff, kind of at the same time. Before I was head of staff, actually, I did a lot of other things But I digress. Yeah, I don't know what this claim is about because like it's honestly just I don't know what they're gonna back it up with. Pretty much, I don't.
Correct, and then
I don't know
the
what they could say.
mhm. Correct, and then the only thing I have, unless yes nobody has more, is that they might try and bring in a previous staff member who has experience in Fallen, and with proof and people who were there at the time, I can verify that her claims are false. None of her ideas were stolen at any time. If anything, she was supported while she ran the Twitter, such as promoting videos. I had her allowed her to do whatever she wished with the Twitter, which meant she was allowed to promote videos, do tweets, that kind of stuff. Promote pictures on the Twitter like we do on the Instagram. Um, and none of her ideas were ever like crushed. I never said she couldn't do anything. I never said, "Oh, you're the Twitter poster. Your ideas don't matter." And I do have proof of these messages, and I did show them to her when we were arguing. What happened took place with that member was the member wanted to leave, and gave us like literally 1 second notice before they left, and I was pretty salty about that because I want more, so I can more notice so I can find another suitable replacement. Otherwise, at the time I was extremely busy with stuff, so I didn't have time to like do the person's job, which was an easy job. So that just kind of pissed me off, and we kind of got into an argument. Back, I probably should have approached it better back then, which is my bad, But we got into an argument, and the person started making up stuff that they were just a Twitter girl, and I never listened to them, or I was sexist. That kind of stuff came out of their mouth, and I had someone get us in a call, and I disproved basically the stuff while being calm. I was like, "Why are you lying? These things aren't true," and they just yelled "F you" at me and left. I wish it would have ended better, but just the way it ended, and honestly, those are the facts. I do have statement proof if we need to in another video back up all those statements, but that is the way it went down. I did have a witness with me who verified that I didn't ever like shut down her ideas during staff meetings, that kind of stuff. If anything, I promoted them. So
I gotta actually agree to this. I'm the one who got you in a call with her and kind of like talk it out. Of course, me being a staff member, I was always in staff meetings, and John has never shut down this person's ideas. If anything, promoted them, or if he did disagree with them, he gave them a valid point, and then they were like, "Okay, I see your point," and then they went back and forth until they reached an agreement of yes and no, that type of thing.
it wasn't
Um,
just like, "Oh no, you run Twitter, you shouldn't have any comment on how things run on the server."
Yeah, and I can verify this because I was actually Twitter poster for a little bit, and I asked permission for things, and then John responded back with like, yeah, you can do that, this type of thing. He basically let me have free reign of the Twitter, which is basically what they had. Um, anyways, for the argument part of this member, they I don't really know what came out of them. They were always so nice, so kind, and everything like that. And then as soon as this happened, they kind of flipped out on John, and they basically left, and that was that.
Well, it was part of the argument and stuff that we had, which wasn't the best on my part. I was pretty salty about them leaving. So about them leaving with the short notice. So I will admit that is my part in the thing, because it takes two people to have these problems. So I can admit my fault in that situation.
Indeed, indeed.
So are there any other points that we need to hit on?
Not that I can think of right now, unless they make a response video.
Yeah, I mean, we're hoping that we kind of squashed this beef and we got ahead of their claims. But if they want to make a response video, we're happy to show proof of these claims. We're happy to, go a little bit harder than we did in this video. I mean, and like this idea that these videos honestly hurt the SMP are 100% false. The last two only have helped the SMP actually gain new members. So, as much as I don't like making these videos, they are actually kind of profitable as well for the server. So I'm happy to tango if I have to tango, but I'm happy, to not, I'm happy to this be, the final word of the situation and be done with.
For any actual members of Fun watching this video, which I kind of do, hope you do. Remember that joining another SMP is actually against the rules and will most likely end up in an insta ban if you do not leave that server. So keep that in mind.
And the reason of this isn't this mindset of, oh, we're jealous if you go to another SMP. We're only kind of that way. We only get pissy about it if you like tell us something different and lie and be two faced and then go and join another SMP. Mainly, if you want to like take a break from Fallen, that's cool. We respect it. That kind of thing. But it's more if you're in two SMPs, I've had so many people say they can be active, and I have yet to see anyone pull it off. So it'd be a miracle, this pigman would start flying before that ever happened. So
Um, Sorry to interrupt, but I can actually verify from this. When I first joined Fallen in season 3, I was technically breaking the rules, even though I told them in their application I was. Um, I was actually in 3 SMPs at the time, and Fallen actually like drowned out. I made a dirt hut. I got some wood tools, lived in that hut, and got kicked for inactivity a month later. So, yeah, you can't do it.
But yeah, it's just something we don't want to deal with. We don't want to see who, especially like stealing members. People will try and steal members, or you'll lose members, or you'll steal members from another SMP, which I don't want to be stealing members from another SMP. I want people to, if you want to decide on another SMP, we totally respect it, but we don't want to be we don't want to be stealing other people's members.
Yeah, that's just horrible, man. Like we like competition, but we're not gonna do that.
I mean, what competition is there for us? I don't want to. I don't want to sound like, ooh, we're so good, but I mean, like, there really isn't. I that's what attracts people, and I always love hearing, when people are like, oh, the fact that you're 12 seasons in and 4 years alive, really brought me to this SMP. This is like one of easily the longest. I think it's safe to say one of the longest private running SMPs, and almost one of the biggest, if not the biggest, and that's just based off numbers. And I'm not trying to sound ignorant, so I apologize.
I can attest to that statement of members actually saying that. I've also done interviews as my time here in Pollen, and I can agree with doing voice calls and text and everything that members do say like, I'm really impressed that you guys are alive this long, and that's kind of like the reason I want to join. I want to join with a community that's been around for a long time.
But honestly, it's because of people like, for example, JC, Bronzy, other people. I'm trying to remember. Sam Lee, Lena, Uwu, Uwu Potato, Link,
Mojo
Void
Link,
Reaper, Mojo Link, Purple,
Monster Munching.
all these people that I have named, they're the reason basically that the server's popping all the time. And it's, without them, honestly, I don't think we'd have a community. People like Golden, even new people who are just starting out, about a lot of people like who's new but quite active.
It's me, your boy.
Misky, it's your boy. Those kind of people are really basically, privy to what the SMP is now. So like, even though I spout those numbers and say those things, it is impossible without those people. So I always thank those people because they're honestly awesome.
Yep, and that's why we here at Fun like to listen to the community as best as possible.
I mean, especially yes, nobody always brings things about the community, so that if any claim ever pops up that we don't listen to the community, it's 100% false. Yes, nobody's always bringing up stuff saying, hey, this is from the community, man. They want this. They want this to happen. So we do. It may not seem like we directly interact with the community. We do have like staff meetings, I mean server meetings and stuff to interact with the community and tell them what's going on. We try and be as transparent as possible, that kind of thing. But we but I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. It's more of like we do listen. Yes, nobody listens, and we bring the report to. We can't be like responding to every single person and be like, oh yeah, we heard you. That literally be what we're doing every day, and we want to have time to play on the server. So, but we do see comments when people's give messages to staff or suggestions, and we do talk those ideas out. And I'm always open to talk to a member who messages in staff and has an idea. Some of them have been like, data packs that we've put in have been suggestions from players.
Indeed, I can actually really attest to this. Again, not to toot my own horn here, but going back to season 11.5, which is kind of like a disaster kind of thing. There was a lot of multi switching between seasons. Sorry, and that type of thing. And the community was getting really outraged. There was a lot of resets, and we tried to add custom terrain, and it didn't really work out. Which we're happy to admit. We make our mistakes, and I told everyone if they had a complaint, write it a message for staff. That way, John and the rest of the staff members can see it, and we'll get to work on it. Especially with the articles, I told them to do that again, and there were some very helpful comments. So, if those two individuals or three maybe want to make any comments, we're always happy to pull them screenshots up. And as John said, if we have to, we'll get them in a call.
That reminds me of another thing. They also hated authority. Anytime someone would tell them to do something or, we would disagree, they just didn't seem. It was a big problem of authority, of having to listen to someone else. I could, it was just this energy that you could feel when, you disagreed or told them, this is not, this is what I want you to do. They would always, sometimes one of the individuals do the opposite or the other individual would debate. So it's like, it's a lot of problems. It's, especially in the staff team, which, eventually, those issues boil up and then we're here making this video.
Yeah, and it's not something that we want to do ever again. I mean, like, of course, if it happens, and we're gonna have to, we're gonna try to not really defend. I don't know if defend is the right word. More like stop it before it happens. Because if anything, our message to
Mm-hmm.
them is like, just stop. Because whatever you say, we have logs, and you know,
Mm-hmm.
I, you know, I've kept messages, I've saved messages, I've sent
Correct.
messages,
I've
that type
saved
of
I've
thing.
saved videos that have been made. I've saved other stuff where one of them wanted to have one of the users go in and collect messages without me knowing. And conversations and have conversations with me without me knowing about what was going on. They asked the other individual to do that, and the other individual said no, which I really respect that individual for us, for basically not getting involved, but also not, being that scummy. So that, they, that's just another reason, like, why we're making this video.
Indeed, indeed. So that's pretty much it. I mean, I do have a final statement. Going back to like your
Yeah,
streaming
go
thing, I
ahead.
just now remembered about like coming for a business profit, that type of thing. You can go back to any of John's streams. I'm pretty sure they're all saved. But if someone donates some bits or whatever, he always says like, I'm not doing this for the donations. My job is just make one person happy, and if I did that, then I'm doing my job as a streamer.
I mean,
So
also the donations on the stream or the stuff when I was a full time streamer for 2 months never went into the server. They never affected someone's chances into getting into the server or how I treated them. It was those the two things were 100% separate.
indeed, indeed. I can attest to this. Like, sometimes I'm trying to DM John about something. He's at work. He actually works for stuff. He pays for the server with his own money and so that type of thing.
I
So
do.
you know, not really for profit. I don't know how that point can be made. We're not trying to like outsource our members or anything like that. Put like the money in stock. No, we're not doing any of that.
Or run it like a business in any way. If we were running it like a business, it would be for money. Or if we were running it for a business, every decision would be made by me, and it's not. Again, like I talked about, decision fatigue. It's very important for my mental health and the mental health of others that we pass on. The weight to each person, and each person carries it equally.
Yep, and unfortunately, some staff members can't handle their weight, so they get fired or demoted, or they leave on their own accord. Either one of those.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm pretty sure that's all I have to say, unless they make a response video.
I think that's all I have for my comments. You have anything to say?
I have nothing to say. Nope.
I honestly do wish the best for these individuals, even all three of them, and the people who we had. All of them. I hope they have good fun on their new server. I wish them the best. I hope they live long and prosper. But I mean, otherwise, that's really all I have to say. My closing
Yeah.
statement is good luck to them. If you want to keep dragging drama on, I'll keep dragging drama on. But otherwise, I'm pretty much finished with this video.
Like you guys can do your own SMP. If you notice that we've never name dropped the SMP, we're not going to do that. We're not, our goal isn't to bring drama to this SMP. It's mostly just to stop these false claims before it happens. So
Correct, since they
yeah,
have been threatened upon us.
indeed, indeed, and I don't know if I can mention this. If not, you're gonna have to edit it out. But you two have been banned from Fallen SMP. So, and of all Fallen SMP related things. So.
Correct.
Indeed. If you guys want a second chance, you guys can, you know who to talk to.
I'm always open to second chances. People always come back to Fallen SMP. JC, Luigi, a lot of people. And
Myself,
we're
even though I
happy,
wasn't in
and
drama.
we're really chill with all those people to tap. Like, a lot of people have been banned and come back, so maybe one day they'll come back and we'll be able to return to what we were. But till then, bye.
Goodbye.
But otherwise, guys, after that, if you were interested in applying for the SMP, if you could even be interested in applying to this crazy SMP with all this drama, link below. Make sure you leave a comment letting me know you applied so I can get my staff members on it. It's the fastest way to get our attention. Otherwise, that's all I got, guys. Let's get ready. And I think we just, set the fire. We just started the fire. So,
Follow the Instagram, Twitter, and subscribe to the YouTube.
hell yeah, it'll be linked all down below. Otherwise, peace out, guys.